Hello and namaste everyone. Welcome back to my channel. In today's video, let's talk about life. For many of you who is seeing me for the first time, my name is Pratiksha and welcome to Mind Body Wellness. In this channel, you will find videos related to workout, mind, body and life. So I often post videos related to workout to help you reach your goal in regards of your body, but also I make sure that your mind is healthy and happy. But before I start this journey, I would like to share my story. So today's video is going to be a story time. Listen to this carefully and you will learn a lot more about myself, a lot more about life, a lot more about things, and that you are not alone. I was born and brought up in Siliguri, West Bengal, which is the foothills of Himalayas. I always had a family, very cheerful, very supportive, and I had that perfect childhood, I would say. I have one sibling. She is more like a mother to me because she is 10.5 years elder to me. And the bond that we share is incredible. We fight, we laugh, amongst all, we support so much each other. And despite this age gap, she understands me from each and every angle. My mother, she is the karta dharta of the house. She is the head of the house, and also her name I have saved in my contact list as home minister because she is one. She is so responsible, she is so caring, she is so genuine and honest. I have never seen such women in life. And she's everything. And my father, he is so sweet, and he has always been so supportive to me in regards of anything I wanted to do in life or achieve in life. And thus I had and have a very simple, perfect and a happy family. उतार चढ़ाव तो सबकी लाइफ में होते हैं, लेकिन उन सभी चीज़ों को परे रखते हुए मेरी फैमिली ने मुझे सभी चीज़ों में सपोर्ट किया है। सब कुछ बहुत ही अच्छा रहा है मेरी चाइल्डहुड में। और अगर अपने पर्सनालिटी के बारे में बात करूँ तो आई हैव always been a very studious child. I was very active. I was a very proactive child in regards of dancing, extracurricular activities. Studies में academically also I was very good. I used to come between first, second, third. I was a very competitive child, and also at times when I used to come second or third, I would cry. Literally, I would cry because I didn't come first, and I would work for that, and the next time I would come first. So that is how I was. And growing up, people showed a lot of love to me. My family, they kept me in a kind of a boundary which seemed very fulfilling, very loved and very full of happiness. And honestly, I didn't knew what was life beyond that. And as I grew up with achieving a lot of things, and I was very independent since my childhood, I started working when I was in 8th standard. I loved to teach, not only academically, but anything. I always wanted to be someone who teaches other, a teacher, a guide, a coach, things like that. And I was very good at dancing and academically, as I said. So I used to gather all the kids from my society and I used to teach them dance. I organized a dance class. I used to be the leader of that group. I used to be the leader of that dance class. We also organized our own, kind of a group which was named Happy Club. And this was actually inspired by a movie, and I was so dramatic all the time, still I am. And but I was very serious with that club, and it had a purpose. It was not just a club. Back then as well, when I was a child, that Happy Club was for us to learn new things. And by the every end of the month, we used to collect 5 or 10 rupees, and we used to party because kids love chocolates and cakes and things like that. And all the kids that were there in this group, they all were very much lower middle class, not as privileged as us. By God grace, we had good things to eat, we had good things to do, good school to go. But those children, they didn't even had the privilege to go to school. So I used to teach them in that happy club. We used to learn. So I was their leader, I was their teacher, as I said. I used to teach them alphabets, numbers, and there were children who were 13, 14 years of age, but they didn't know even how to write their name. So I taught them to write their name and things like that. We enjoyed. I taught them games and sports that we used to play in our school, and I used to come back and then I used to teach them, and I used to feel so happy and real in that. I loved inspiring people, and I love inspiring people still. So that was my childhood. And growing up, I did so many things which really made me feel proud and happy and good. And we used to then collect money, and all together we used to party, buy chocolates and cakes, and we used to celebrate. Celebration was a part of life. Everything, in each and everything that happened in the course of my life, we used to celebrate. And this is where this and I learned this from my family, because in my family we celebrate each and everything, each and every small details, someone's birthday, someone's anniversary. I don't know, like someone's exam has got over, someone has come first, or someone has done something, like each and everything, we do the cake cutting, we celebrate. So the celebration thing in me has been alive since childhood. But yeah, things changed gradually as I grew up, and today I'm going to talk about it all. And as I started growing up, I was in ninth standard when I met this guy. Of course, I'm not going to take the name, and a lot of you might know about this who has been following me in social media since a very long time. They know my story, right? So I'm not going to elaborate on that, but I am going to, of course, elaborate on the things that happened, the things that I went through, and the outcome, because it is very important. And yes, likewise, I met that guy, we fell in love, and that was the first time when I actually fell in love. He was 7 to 8 years older than me. I was in ninth standard, about to complete my ninth standard, and I was going on 10th. And that is how it all started. And that was the phase when I fell in love and was experiencing immense love. A kind of a typical love story. Everybody goes through that phase, and it's a lovely phase. But also, we learn a lot of things from that phase, and sometimes it doesn't just leave you; it stays. So that is something that happened. As time passed, I was 16 years old back then when I started my first love story. And then I am a very sensitive person. I am someone who thinks a lot, who takes everything very deeply. And if you are someone like me, this video is really going to help you. So please listen to my story till the end, and you are going to analyze and see a lot of things, and I know that you will relate with me. People who are similar to me, I would not call them an overthinker. Actually, we are deep thinkers. We don't take anything lightly. We take everything seriously. We care seriously. We take the relationships seriously. Jokes apart, things, everything, every small minute things that goes and comes in and around us, we take that thing very very seriously. People often call us overthinkers, dramatic, and this and that, but try us. We are so sensitive, we are such and deep thinkers that we can analyze and think and understand things better than any type of person in the world. This is what I believe. And to continue my love story, everything was fine, everything was well at the very start. And I could not see few of the things which were toxic, which were not okay, but according to me at that point of time was fine, because that was love for me. When someone loves you, they care for you, they understand you, and they also respect you. This is something that we disregard in most of the relationships. And because of the fear that we might get disowned, we compromise a lot of things, a lot of shits. And that is where it goes worst. And I thought that all of that was love. You know, being possessive at some point of time is fine. You love each other, you care for each other, you are possessive, that is fine. But to such an extent which haunts you and which scares you is something very much different, is something very much toxic. I didn't understand it back then. But yes, that is how it started to go, and things were a lot different than I used to show it on social media, because again, I am a very sensitive and a deep thinking person. I did not want anyone to have a very bad impact on what was going on, and I didn't want anybody to get affected by it, because of course it does. I had a good people following me and seeing me loving my life, and again I had the fear of getting disowned by them as well. So everything was fine, picture perfect on my social media, and I never did accept it that this is going worse. So today's video we are going to learn the art of acceptance as well, because in each and every talking video of mine we learn something. It's not just a story time, guys. And yes, things moved on. I started growing up. Things started to get toxic. At some point of time, I even fought with my friends because I thought that they were wrong and they were trying to, get me away from a good, happy relationship because they doesn't have one. Honestly, this is what I thought, and I even had some disagreements and fights with my friends, and a lot of people who were close to me, they just got apart and they just got separated with me slowly as time passed by. And as I grew up from 16 to in my 20s, when I reached after 4 years, I realized that this is going very toxic, this is going very unhealthy, and eventually things started to turn violent and abusive. You know, saying abusive things to each other when you are angry is something different, but in my phase at that point of time, saying abusive things were just a part of our conversation. It had become that toxic. It was just like, me and you are having a conversation, but in each and everything, there's some abusive words. There's some bad words that affects you, that stays with you. It just had become a normal conversation type of ours. And I don't know what kind of person he was. It didn't affected him at all. He was just like, forget it, and then he was back to normal. But everything started to pile up in my head, in my mind, one at a time. And I, being a sensitive person and a person who didn't want to show my weak side or my worst phase, I didn't talk about this to anyone. That was again the worst thing to do. I didn't talk about this anyone. Even my family thought that I had a perfect relationship. It was almost 6 to 7 years, and everybody just wanted good. So I didn't want it to ruin it for anyone. So for everybody's sake, I was just going and going and going and going on with this toxic phase, with this thing in my life. There are so many things, guys, that I cannot say in front of the camera fully, but I hope you understand. It was such a thing. It was, the things were really, really bad. And as I said, since my childhood, my family had created a boundary wherein I was very much loved. They made me feel strong and confident, and I was achieving one goal after other goal at that time. And that was my phase to grow. But somewhere, this this relationship was holding me back and making me believe that I am good for nothing. Yes, this was the thing that I was told all the time. Even if I did something good, it was because of my activities, is what I was said. It was not because of my talent or my hard work. It is because I have done something wrong and I have applied the shortcut method. The shortcut method, you guys. This was the thing that I used to get every time I used to do something good. That person was least bothered about what I thought. Maybe this was his upbringing, maybe this was his way of talking to people, but that really stayed with me. We used to have lots of fights, lot of things, and the question comes, why didn't I leave him then? I did try. I tried my level best to leave him and to settle down somewhere else on my own, but when I tried that, the most scariest thing happened. I got stalked and stopped in the middle of the road, dragged. I got dragged in the middle of the road, and lots of worse things happened in the middle of the road in front of a lot of people. Now, me, I didn't used to share about these toxic things and the fights to anybody, but what I went through when all of these things started happening on the streets, on the roads. My self respect, my dignity, my confidence, my strength just over. I started becoming the worst version of myself. A girl who's always scared, a girl who has no self esteem, a girl who has no self belief. And you know, I started realizing that whatever my parents told me, that I can do everything and everything will be good in my life, I will be loved by people, people, get inspired by me, and I was doing good. All of those things I thought was just, of course they will say that because they are my parents. But look now what is happening. So, that thing stayed in my mind, and I was like, my parents lied to me. It is not, it is not that. It is not that. To someone whom I love so much, to someone I gave everything, is doing this shit to me. Just imagine what will happen when I step out of school, step out of college, and go to some other city or some other place. It started haunting me because my confidence level and my self esteem was all zero. Didn't seek for any help. It again took 2 more years for me to come out of that relationship. It started becoming very, very abusive in terms of language and everything. It started becoming violent, and that is when I thought that no, by any means, I need to get out of this, or else I am just gonna shrink in here and I am just gonna finish myself. At that moment, I just started making plans and things, and as to how can I get out of this phase, how can I get out of this relationship. Also, I don't want to take anybody's help. I don't want anybody to know about what is going on and how am I feeling. I wanted everything to be normal and to everything to be ended in a good note. I tried ending it in a good note, but it didn't. And I just went back home. And yes, to say we were living together. So for almost 2.5 years, we stayed together. And that was the worst thing that I could do to myself. But also, I understood a lot of things about him. And it's a 50-50 thing. I am also grateful for staying with him, to know him better, and also, for me, and also to put myself in that worst phase. But I would never know until and unless I would step into that shoe. So yes, then I left the apartment and I was like, I started making plans, and then I started acting normal in front of him, and all but the motive in my mind was to just get out of this. I was like, I am sick and tired of this. I cannot. Every day I was crying, every day I was screaming and crying, feeling anxious, having panic attacks. But that person didn't bother. He was just like, you are so dramatic and you stretch everything, and just get lost, do whatever the shit you want to do. And especially the violent part, what he used to do at home, still traumatizes me. And still when people are fighting, or someone's shouting or anything is going on, I still fear. I have that fear and I don't like it. So that is how it was. And gradually with time I left him. And yes, successfully I could do that. And after leaving him, I told my parents that this was the matter, this was the thing, and that is why I left him. And they were like, why didn't you tell us earlier? We would help you. I just didn't want it to be this a big issue, everybody knowing about it. But now I do, and I don't care about it, because the things that happened to me after that is the worst part coming in.